Welcome back. So I just pasted in some code here. It's going to be a very quick overview. I don't want to spend too much time here on the actual code because that's not the goal. That's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is two things. One is that I can actually switch between managers now. I can have a manager that works in my memory on the machine, and then I can have another manager that actually uses a REST service. And I can just switch back and forth between those without doing anything in the UI code. And that's what I want to show you in this lesson. But first, to do that, let's start out by just looking at what the code I just pasted in. Again, I don't want to explain the code, but you can see there are some dependencies here I have that are not available at the current time. Now, as the course moves forward, there are at least two dependencies that you will require, and they're both being pulled from a library in the cloud called the Nuget library. So we have something called the Nuget Manager, where you can start pulling down projects that other people build for us as DLL files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say Manage Nuget Packages on the references on the data logic layer. That's where my new file is located. Let me just zoom a bit here. So I added this new file, Proxy Person Manager. That's the guy who has some dependencies he's missing, and those are going to be found in the Nuget library here. So I'm going to browse for new ones, and the ones we're going to use is, actually it's always the top one, but it's Newton soft.json. A guy called James Newton King made this, I guess, and it rocks. It's a way for us to convert data between JSON and C# objects very simply. I'm going to install that. I just click the small install button and OK. And it's going to install the project for me and add a reference automatically. And by the way, when you guys run my code, behind the scenes, these Nuget packages are not there until you press run, and then it'll actually automatically go to the Nuget server and pull them down for you, so you don't even see it when you run the code. And that is really awesome when you develop in a team, that you can share projects with other people in the team. So it's installed now. I can remove it again if I want to. The other project you don't know about is the Web API here, so I'll search for that. Here we have one called ASP.NET Web API, and that's the one you want to install. It's going to install 2 or 3 packages, actually 4 different packages that we need to work with the REST API that I built. And again, you don't have to understand this. It's just the Nuget Package Manager will come back later, so we'll use it more and more. And I just want to give you guys just a quick preview of how powerful it actually is to use a package manager that can take care of everything for you, just downloading an entire package here with actually 4 dependent packages in a single click. So let me shut this down. Now, what will happen is pretty much that all my errors kind of went away. The only ones I have left is, if I click here, you'll see I'm still missing out on a few problems here. One is that it doesn't know what a person is. Of course, I need to implement the person entities for that, and then it's pretty much good to go. Okay, so now I've made a new person manager. Let me show you. I have 2 person managers now to pick from. The first person manager is the one we built together last time. It's where we make a fake local list that you can just add and remove stuff from. Now the new one I made is another called the Proxy Person Manager, and actually that goes into the cloud using an HTTP request to pull some data from a REST service that's available here that I built on Heroku. Don't worry, we will get back to how to get that out there in the cloud later on, not in these lessons. But what I'm doing is pretty much just getting the data from somewhere else. I'm not getting it from a local list anymore. I'm getting it from a database in the cloud. And how do I now implement this? Now, remember I said I do not want to change things around inside our view. So here we have the view. I do not want to make a change here. This has to stay the same. From the UI's point of view, nothing has changed. It's just behind the scene, the data is getting from somewhere else, not from a local list in memory, but from an actual real REST API, a real database in the cloud. So how do I change that? I have to go into my facade. So I go into my facade, and instead of using I'll comment here, instead of using the person fake manager, I'll make a new one here. Return new proxy person manager. So that's all I had to do. That's all I had to do. Let's try and run the code now, and you'll see that now I'm actually pulling my code from a live environment instead of the local one. Let's see if it actually works. It'll take a second or two because I'm actually starting to hook up to a live server in the cloud. So just give it a bit more time. And here, notice I'm pulling out a lot of people here. The could I'm pulling out again and again is because I just made some tests just adding the same person. But notice that by making that simple change, I'm actually live now. Okay, let's say I change my mind. I want to stay local again. I don't want to work with the live environment. I just want to work locally. So I just change this line right here, run it again, and now I'm back to using a local setup. That's all it takes. That's the power of doing these layers the way we did it. Now we are back to our simple list in memory. Okay, so notice no changes in the UI. The only place I changed is in the DLL facade. The reason I can do this is because I've made a great layer setup, and you guys should continue thinking along those lines. Next time we'll just work a bit more with this. See you next time.